here's Raj's question. Raj says, what's the best days to expiration to buy 70 delta calls? So we're talking about long calls here, buying a call far out in time, or buying a call, period. But looking for what is the best day to expiration by 70 delta calls for SPY that balances between safety and price for the trade. I'm looking to scalp in 5 minutes to 1 hour based on levels. I am okay to buy calls with 8 weeks to expiration. Want to know what is the sweet days to expiration that's well balanced. Okay. The reason why I'm going to have a problem really answering this question, Raj, is it is extraordinarily specific, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. The issue is that I do not day trade options ever. I've tried to play with 0 day to expiration spreads and everything along those lines, and the return that I saw based on the amount of time that I had to put into those positions was actually a lower return on investment than what I was seeing with my standard 2-week out bull put credit spreads converting to bear put debit spreads if the market turns, or using those management techniques. So during the day, yes, I have 2 screens open in front of me. I have the power options portfolio in front of me. I have my brokerage account open. I have alerts being sent to me. But during the day, I'm on coaching sessions. I'm answering emails. I'm answering phone calls. I'm writing content as well as doing other videos. And the time that is needed, I am not going to break from a coaching session. I'm not going to break from a phone call. I don't think I've ever broken from answering an email just because an alert went off on one of those, because most of my strategies are longer term. So we're going to try to run through an example on this question, Raj, but unfortunately, it's not going to be as helpful as I want it to be. I'm going to be honest. I don't think it's going to be as helpful as I want it to be, because what we're going to do is use the historical tools. And we're going to look at time frames when SPY was entering what I'd consider a buy point, and when SPY would be considered a sell point, which we've seen a lot of in the past few weeks, when I'd be buying puts on SPY instead of calls, for example, and see how they perform. But we're going to be using, unfortunately, with our backtesting tools, it's not intraday, it's only end of day. But hopefully, it will give us a good result and or good balance. A good overall view, I think I want to say, Raj. Okay, what I mean by that is we're going to go to long call first. And we're going to create a search based on your specific requirements. We're looking at just buying SPY calls. And as you can see here, we have a default one that we set up a couple weeks ago for our discussion, buying VIX calls to hedge against the market, which would have been profitable. I did buy VIX calls when it was down at 15. Made profits. We'll use those as a hedge for the credit spread and calendar spread portion. We have videos on that, using VIX as a hedge. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But at the same time, Raj, we can set up a search in power options that matches specifically what you're looking for a test, a historical test. What I mean by that is, let's clear the filters out. So here we have our results that matched our default criteria, my recent safe search. Down below, we have all the options and stock criteria we can use: implied volatility ranges, strike price ratios, option mid price, volume, liquidity, delta, other Greeks, range in or out of the money. Your delta of 0.70 is going to be very powerful, because that's going to help us isolate certain results. But we're going to, and of course, at the same time, we can screen just against stock technicals, stock fundamentals, and the technicals, everything including from Bollinger Bands, beta, RSI, 20-day moving averages, moving average trends, MACD, and more. And fundamentals, just basics on stock price limitation, earnings per share growth, market cap, so on and so forth. Or lists. I can choose just to screen against a specific stock or a specific list by creating a list. And of course, we've created volatility securities here for this VIX and volatility hedge. Let's empty out all the filters. You're asking me about what is the best day to expiration to buy 70 delta long calls that balances between safety and price for the trade. So first thing I do, we cleared out all of the settings, and that clears out everything for options, technicals, fundamentals, and more. Now I'm going to put in days to expiration. Let's just go 2 to 110. Now I know it's going to be broad, especially with all of the daily series, Raj, and that's going to be the problem. But why am I going out to 110? Because there's going to be a discussion. Maybe I can narrow this down. Let's narrow this down to 75. But normally when I buy a call, it's because I'm expecting a breakout. We have long call searches for Bollinger Band breakouts, using the Bollinger Band's initial values, and even high option volume, increased percentage option volume as well. But with all the available expirations, let's go 2 to 75. Let's go 0 to 75 for you, Raj, because you're probably looking 1 day out or less with all the availables there. And we're going to look for a delta of greater than 0.70. I don't have to worry about liquidity, Raj, in this case. I'm not going to worry about open interest or option volume because we know SPY is going to be just all over the place and all of them are going to be strong. But I'm going to jump to the lists real quick. And we're going to include, I've already created a list here of just SPY. Whenever you want to create a list of just one security to do comparisons or for your own personal search, just click on create and modify stock lists. And then you'll be able to quickly just create a list here of anything you want. So Apple, one symbol. And here's our QQQ, one symbol that's in the total list. And Tesla, SPY, SPX, Volatility Securities has 3, so on and so forth. So you can create as many lists as you want. Let's just go back now. We've already got SPY there. Let's go ahead and submit the search. And one thing I'm going to do though, Raj, is to limit the number of results. You said to buy 70 delta long calls. So I think that's important to you. So we're going to create a range. I don't want to make it too tight, but I want to make it restrictive. We're going to go 0.68, go that way, to 0.71. All right, hockey term here, Jaromir Jagr to Evgeny Malkin. Let's just do that and see what we get. So we're looking for anything that has a 0.7 delta that's any days out in time. So we've got the 550 strike 4 days out, 549 7 days out, 549 6 days out, 548, we're seeing a pattern here, of course, 7 days out. And we start getting into lower strikes as we go further out in time. We're at the 542, we get to the 541, and we get to the 540. Now, there's 29 total results. What's on the next page? We start getting into those other values. Now, I'm sorting this by percent EPSG. That's what I would normally sort. That's, of course, the earnings per share growth of the underlying stock. We're going to sort this instead by expiration date for this exercise. Okay, so let's just find expiration date. I think I just passed it. There it is, expiration date. And we're going to go highest to lowest. Now I'm going to start off lowest to highest. We're going to start near term, Raj, and go out to the furthest. Okay, so that's where we want to start, right? We've got the 553, 1 day out. Well, that's today. We can't count that. That's over. It's still in the system though. Mondays, 551, 4 days out. Tuesday, Wednesday, so on and so forth, and then to the further expirations. Why am I going through this? Well, now we got to save this search. And we are going to save this as our SPY long call comparison. Oh, sorry. And let's go ahead and save this search. All right, now that I've saved this search, we can go ahead and run a back test. So in the back testing tools, if you're subscribed to the historical level of service, gives you everything that you have on the delayed level of service, but access to our historical tools with data that goes back 7.5 years. You can look at the historical option chain and scroll day by day. Or you can do a historical search and see which results would have matched your criteria on a given day and then see how they performed going forward to expiration or to a specific selected expiration date. Or you could do the historical search by symbol. In this example, because you had a specific requirement of a delta of 70, we went across expirations and we're using the search tool rather than the search by symbol. In other words, my expectation is, and I'm going to say this first before we do the historical searches, you're asking me what is the best data expiration by 70 delta calls that bounces between safety and price. I'm looking to scalp in 5 minutes to 1 hour time based on levels. Now, I can't show you that. My expectation is for what you're deciding, it's going to be 2 to 3 days out, not that day of expiration. You're still going to have whatever time value you pay into is going to decay rapidly. I'm thinking you're going to want to be 2 to 3 days out, depending on the movement and depending on what happens.